Hey guys, Edward Stevens here from the Stevens Group at Reese Nichols. Today I'm here to talk to you about buying a home from a for sale by owner. And what are the steps to doing that, and what are some of the things that you should be looking for and looking out for when you're purchasing that home from a for sale by owner. A for sale by owner, just in case you don't know, is somebody who is not using a listing agent to list their home and represent them through the real estate transaction. Now, you have the ability to purchase a home through a person like that who is not listed with a brokerage. That's totally fine. I want to talk to you about what you can do to protect yourself and what some of the steps are that you should take during the process. Number one, I believe you should get a buyer's agent. And maybe it's just my own personal biases in this as a real estate agent, but in my opinion, buyers are vulnerable in any real estate transaction, regardless of whether the seller has representation or not. In the event the seller does not have representation, like what we're talking about right now with a for sale by owner, it's even more important to have a real estate agent of some kind policing the situation, keeping everybody on track toward a smooth and successful closing. And if you're going to have a real estate agent involved anyway, why not have that real estate agent represent you, the potential buyer? Now, here is a problem that I have seen a lot of in my experience as a real estate agent. A lot of people who sell their home by themselves have a certain amount of animosity toward real estate agents, and that creates friction in the very beginning of the deal. See, a lot of people don't like to, use a real estate agent because they had a bad experience with a real estate agent in the past. And so when it comes to selling their home, they don't want to use them. They don't trust real estate agents. They don't want to deal with real estate agents at any level. I believe that, and hopefully you believe that, buying a home is, you have to have a certain amount of trust involved. Anytime you're buying anything from anybody, you have to at least believe them at some level. And you have to take them at some level with what they're saying, because you really can't do a deal very effectively if there's not some level of rapport and some level of trust involved there, because there's a lot of money and there's a lot at stake. By having a seller that doesn't trust a real estate agent, not saying that all for sale by owners don't trust real estate agents, but some of them do, I would say a sizable percentage do, it's going to be tough to do that deal safely for you, the buyer. And so that's the reason why a lot of people steer or potentially steer you away from for sale by owners, is because of that reason. Your agent, assuming you get a buyer's agent, will likely approach the seller and ask the seller if he's willing to pay a commission. That commission is usually 3%. It can be more. It is sometimes more because some agents feel like they're doing more work. So there's a form that's filled out, and it's called a permission to show and commission agreement that states the amount of the price of the house and how much commission the buyer's agent is going to be paid from the seller when the deal closes. Now, if the seller is not willing to pay a commission, then you can pay the commission as the buyer, although that is pretty rare. Next, I want to talk about an assumption that a lot of buyers like you might make, and I think it's a false one, and that is to assume that the home will cost less money overall just because you're not buying it from a brokerage, you're buying it for sale by owner. That's a common draw that a lot of sellers will pitch to you, is that the home will cost less because they won't have to compensate a real estate agent. But how do they really know that? How do you really know that? Usually it's a real estate agent that helps you determine the market value of a home, and without a real estate agent in play to have seen the home and to advise you in the best possible way and to negotiate on your behalf, are you really getting the best deal you could possibly get? Furthermore, if the seller were giving you a better deal, then why would he have any incentive to do that? If he could sell the home and make as much money and do less work by enlisting a listing agent, by simply hiring a professional and then listing the home for more and then selling it, why would he want to do all the work himself and not reap any of the financial rewards? Hopefully you understand my point there. Not to say anything against for sale by owners. There's a lot of great ones out there. There's a lot of great people out there. Heck, you might even sell your home yourself one day. But these are considerations for you, the buyer, to think about when you're buying. Next, I want you to expect some surprises. There are going to be surprises. Every deal may have an occasional surprise, but there will be surprises, more than likely, way more than likely, if you're dealing with somebody who does not have a listing agent. They are going rogue in a sense. They are not following the traditional standards of a real estate transaction, not because they don't want to, oftentimes. It's because they don't know what they even are. They have not done enough real estate transactions most of the time to know what's what's normal and what isn't and know the flow of a deal. A listing agent's responsibility is to circumscribe that seller's actions so that they can close the deal successfully. Furthermore, they're not going to want to take the professional advice of the buyer's agent because they will more than likely feel that the buyer's agent is somehow steering that seller wrong and down a path that's only going to help the buyer and not the seller. Like I said, there's a level of trust that just isn't there, and things that would normally be very minor can quickly get out of hand because the seller that's not listed with an agency may not take the professional direction of your buyer's agent. Now, the fourth and final thing I'll say about buying a home for sale by owner is use a reputable contract. If you're going to go the route of buying from a for sale by owner, which I'll say right now, on record, I do not recommend it. Chalk it up to my own personal biases or my professional biases as a real estate agent, but I don't recommend it. But if you are going to do that against my recommendation, even if there's a buyer's agent involved and even if that buyer's agent's getting compensated, most agents are going to tell you that. They don't recommend it. Make sure, number 4, you have a professional contract in place, looked over by an attorney, and you can sometimes pick those up at a title company. Don't go Googling for a real estate contract. Don't go to Office Depot or Office Max and get a real estate contract. Don't do that because it may not be applicable to the state or the jurisdiction in which you are doing the transaction. And furthermore, it may not protect you in the way that a regular real estate contract would protect you. Even the title company will have a better contract than what you'll find online. So go to a title company, and if you need recommendations on a title company, I can get them to you. Their contract is very thin. I still don't believe going to have all the protections that you need, but it's still going to have more protections and it's going to be more applicable than anything that you're going to find just by Googling or by going out to Walmart and grabbing a base contract. So to recap, number 1, I recommend getting a buyer's agent involved at the very, very beginning. Anytime you're looking for a home, but especially if you're looking at one that's a for sale by owner. Number 2, don't assume the home costs less. Do not assume that, even if the seller's telling you. Number 3, expect surprises. Every deal is going to have surprises. For sale by owners tend to insert a lot more surprises than the average deal because they just don't know the rhythm and the flow of a standard real estate transaction most of the time. I don't want to say every for sale by owner. And number 4, make sure you use a professionally attorney vetted contract. Don't go Googling for a contract. Don't go to a big box store and pick up a base contract off the shelf. Go to a title company and get one. It's not the best contract in the world, but it's better than what you're going to find on your own. Go to a title company. So, Edward Stevens from the Stevens Group, hoping that you get some good advice out of this video. If you liked it, make sure to share it with anybody that you might know that might also like this information, maybe a colleague or a friend or family member who's thinking about buying a home. And call me if you have any questions, 816-217-8608. Edward Stevens from the Stevens Group at Reese Nichols signing off. Have a good one. Bye.